So I'll admit these hot takes aren't extreme, but these are hot takes nonetheless. For the most part, if you was to get like experienced players and they was to have their judgments on the game, I feel like I would meet those similar judgments. But there are some stuff about the game that I have to take into consideration. Most people may agree or mainly disagree with these hot takes, but I personally believe in these opinions. If you don't, that's fine, you don't have to, but nonetheless, here they are. Ghostface's old PTB theme was way better than the theme he has now. Yes, the one that sounds like a washing machine I'm talking about. The reason why I like this one is that I just think it should have just been turned down. I don't think it should have been changed. Because yeah, I give them the benefit of the doubt that it does sound like a washing machine chasing you rather than a serial killer, but it still had that thrill to it. I'm not a music expert or anything like that, but the theme song sounded like a serial killer that's destined to haunt you down. Not only haunt you down because it's a ghost, but kill you, potentially in the most gruesome way possible. It sounds like if you really were being chased down by a dude in the Ghostface costume, that it would kind of sound similar to this because of how haunting it is. You would just see that white blur chasing you down the street or something like that, and you're kind of in the panic state of mind and not knowing what to do because this is probably the first time this ever happened to you. The new chase music he has just sounds very generic, at least for the chase part. Like leading up to the chase doesn't sound too bad, but I personally don't like it. It just sounds too the same for me. By the same I mean the generic theme song that the killers have when they're chasing survivors or you're being chased by the killer. It's like love or hate the washing machine theme song. At least that had some sense of variety to it. It just really fit the character, and I hope that they didn't take it away, but it is what it is now. Anniversaries don't always have to be licensed. Now this is one I completely stand by. I personally don't think that every anniversary needs to be a licensed chapter. It could be original every once in a while. I understand the idea of anniversaries being licensed because it's supposed to be this big event. Of course it'll be a smart idea for a big event, and then you have the licensed property, people who know that licensed property to be attracted by that licensed property and then wind up playing the game even more because that licensed property is now in the game at such a big event like an anniversary in Dead by Daylight. But I always looked at the quality of the chapter rather than what the chapter is, because a chapter can be pretty underwhelming though it's a popular license or just license in general. Where I mainly give credit to licenses is that they destined to bring in newer players or players back in general, because people already know what the license is. So once they already know what that license is, it attracts them because now they want to play that licensed chapter. It's harder for original license because not only is the chapter fully original, but the players won't be familiar with what that chapter is because it's original. I just think what's really important for original chapters to get high praise during the anniversary is if that chapter is really good. Like I personally think Singularity is a really fun killer, especially once you get to know him well. Speaking of Singularity, I also think that RPD isn't such a bad map for him. It's been countless games where I win against very experienced survivors, and most of those matches I'll win due to me knowing exactly where to place my biopods on RPD. Like the biopods would differ from the east and west wing of the map by a little bit, but where I mainly place my biopods is of course in the entrance area of the map on one of the high pillars. Like I will shoot the biopod as high as I can on one of the pillars in the front entrance of the lobby where the generator is usually at. I'll put one on a high far right just up the stairs. I'll put one in the interrogation room, I believe it is, where the typewriter is. I'll put one on the left side of the stairway that's in front of the library, one on the front entrance outside. If I get the west wing, I'll put a biopod down the hallway that's in front of the reception room, and I'll also put one in the west office. I'll also put one above the fire escape where the east wing is located, but those are all pretty good spots to put your biopods on the RPD map. You could get creative with all the other spots, but those are the spots that I usually find most effective. People usually claim that indoor maps are bad for Singularity. I personally think Larry's is horrible for Singularity because there's always somewhere to turn, but for RPDs, the fact that it's so wide, even in most areas where you turn, you can still get a slipstream hit in, as long as you're confident that the survivor is going to turn a certain way, which another biopod is there for you to actually teleport to them. Don't get me wrong, RPD does have its narrow hallways, but if you actually hit a slipstream at the right angle, and you're confident that a survivor is going to go a certain way, which happens to be where your biopod is, you could consistently wind up teleporting to them. Is RPD a map I would prefer for Singularity? Not really, because there is always somewhere to turn. I mean, your biopod can be everywhere, but once you start to realize where exactly survivors go, once you do get their attention, then it could be very clear where to place your biopods on the RPD map. Pinhead's old voice lines were great. Now I'm pretty sure most of you remember Pinhead's old voice lines during the PTB days before they got removed, and then Doug Bradley, the original voice of Pinhead, wound up doing the voice work.
You open the box, I came. You opened the box. I came. I shall tear your soul apart.
I honestly didn't think that the old Pinhead voice lines were bad. Yeah, he didn't sound exactly like the Pinhead from the first Hellraiser movie, but he did a good job making Pinhead's voice sound cold and rasp, especially with the tone in his voice just to make him sound more powerful. Am I saying the old voice lines is better than the ones that we have now? No, but if they couldn't get Doug Bradley to do the voice, and if we had to stick with the old voice lines, I wouldn't even be complaining because it actually does sound pretty good, in my opinion at least. Xenomorph's old chase theme was 10 times better. I was so hurt when they changed Xenomorph chase music, only because the chase music sounded like you captured something completely unknown, like you saw something that you couldn't explain slowly approaching you. It gave me like a what the fuck is that type of feel, and I feel like that perfectly explains a Xenomorph. Yeah, I can see the sound getting pretty old and annoying, but I feel like they should have just turned the chase music down a bit, like how I mentioned for Ghostface's PTB music, because honestly this one isn't bad at all in my opinion, because it has a horror element to it. Like when you listen to Xenomorph's old chase music again, you can actually hear the Nostromo alarm.
The emergency destruct system is now activated.
It sounds very similar, but you could tell it's been messed with a little bit. I'm not a music expert, but there's definitely similarities. And it's like I like details like that within the theme, because I feel like from a fan's POV, it'll be appreciated if details like that are hidden within the theme song. That's left for you to figure out. This new theme song just sounds pretty generic to me. It doesn't sound as anxiety inducing as the first theme that Xenomorph had, which I was kind of depressed by, I'm not gonna lie. I just feel you could slap Xenomorph's new theme song on any other killer and it would just be okay. Like I feel like the old theme just suit Xenomorph more. But those are my not so extreme hot takes. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with them in the comments down below, which I'm pretty sure most of you agree and disagree. I'll be surprised if most of you agreed. But anyways, love y'all, take care, and I'ma see y'all on the next one. Peace.